Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are finishing up our 12 days of Christmas series for December 2023. I appreciate you if you have stuck with me through the whole 12 days. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and hope you have felt inspired. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So here I have a Sizzix and Tim Holtz die set. These are a bunch of snowflakes. I have purchased this a long time ago from Hobby Lobby. It is $66.15.99 is the number. And then I have a die set from, I believe this is Simon Says Stamp, but I'm not sure. Any die set you have would work. Critter, Gnome, Stamp, whatever you have. Here, this die set has like a backer for the gnome, and then it has another die that will cut out the pieces of the gnome. So for the gnome's tunic, I cut that from some green and then one time from some white and stacked those together. For the hat, I cut it one time from a red and then additional 4 times from white and glued those all together. And the beard and the nose will be down flat. I made myself a 5x5 card base. I took a piece of cardstock, cut it by 5x10, and then folded in half long ways at 5. And that gives me a 5x5 cream card base. I felt like this size fit these particular dies that I wanted to use well. The proportions were good. And then I also just really wanted to do a different shaped card. One thing to keep in mind if you are going to be sending out a square card, it requires extra postage. So this may not be a card size that you want to mass produce during the holidays. Just something to keep in mind because it does cost extra to send and ship square cards. My cardstock choices, the color inspiration actually came from a Catherine Pooler card that I saw. She used 6 or 7 different inks and I just chose 3. And then I went through my stash of colored cardstock scraps and found some that matched. It's more like a burgundy color and then like a deep teal and then like an olivey green. And I thought that was really pretty. Here I'm going to pull a Kathy Zilski. She likes to tape her card bases closed, and this was popping up on me and I really needed it to stay flat. So I just pulled a Kathy Zilski and folded a piece of tape up and taped my card closed. So here I wanted to make a wreath out of these snowflakes, and so I'm just going to kind of loosely plan that out. And I knew I wanted to have my gnome off to the left and then the sentiment somewhere along the insides of that wreath, the inner dimensions of that wreath. And so I'm just trying to kind of plan these out. I tried to make it to where like no 2 of the same style of snowflake and the same color were together. Did that happen? Not always. Did I do my best? Yes. Do I feel like it was balanced at the end? Pretty much. So I'm just loose. This looks more like this doesn't look very wreath-y like right now, but it'll fill in. We'll make it look like a wreath in the end. But it took me a long time to kind of get this where I wanted it. When I go to glue these down, it still doesn't look like a wreath here, but maybe that's just the angle of my camera. We're going to roll with that. That's the angle of my camera. We're going to break out with some press and seal. So I set this down and I realized that I moved like all of the things, but it's okay. We can fix it. So I'm just going to use a piece of press and seal to be able to pick up all of these snowflakes at once, because there's like gobs of these snowflakes. And if I had to pick this up and glue them down all at one time, I would probably go insane and you would probably be bored out of your mind. So to pick them all up at once was very helpful. I wanted these to kind of pop up, so that's why I didn't cut them out of like adhesive sticker sheets or apply like a spray adhesive to the back. I kind of wanted them just to be adhered in the center so that are they arms, branches, points, fractals? I don't know. The outer parts of the snowflake could pop up. It would give it more interest. It would give it more dimension. And I liked that idea better. Here I am just like struggling. I was trying to do like the hinge method that Kelly Taylor does, and I was on the struggle bus. So we ended up kind of gluing this down, and then I peel up this press and seal, and I'm like, where'd all my snowflakes go? I didn't actually like hold the snowflakes down while I peeled up the press and seal. That was my fault. So you'll see in a minute. So any of the snowflakes that popped up or just weren't adhered very well, I'm just picking them up individually. I'll place them back where they were and apply just a little bit more glue to them just to get them to stick in place. No worries. I feel like I had a few extras at the end. I was just trying to fill in some gaps that I felt I had, but I feel like it turned out okay. This was actually inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. They used some brighter colors. You could even substitute some like glitter cardstock or foils, some specialty cardstocks in there. That would look really pretty. You could even keep it like monochromatic and just do like all whites on like a cream card base. That would be super pretty. So lots of options. This is just kind of what I came up with today. I didn't want to cut the beard out of gray cardstock, and I didn't want to cut the nose out of brown. So I am just using some Altenew artist markers to color these in. The brown is Rocky Shore, and the gray is Silver Lake. And I'm just doing a flat color on those, particularly on the nose. On the beard, I try to do like strokes and then blend it out. I'm using a master's touch blender pen I got this at Hobby Lobby. I was going to get a Copic one, but they didn't have them there anymore. So I don't know if our Hobby Lobby just doesn't sell them or if they just don't sell them at all. But I know I've seen them in the past. So I just tried to kind of blend out some of those brush strokes on the beard so that it didn't look so harsh. And then now I'm going to apply little dots of glue to his tunic and get that to adhere down. I know that I think I saw Nicole Spore one time inlay all of those little tiny pieces of the tunic that fall out. I think I saw her inlay those one time. Y'all, I don't have the patience for that, so white is perfectly fine. So I'm just going to glue this little gnome together. He's not very hard. I kind of get anxiety when I have a ton of little pieces, and I usually shy away from die sets that have a ton of little pieces. I like how they look. I just don't have the patience for them, I guess. And so I get to the point where I'm like, never mind. And then I just don't use them. So this one's really manageable for me. There's literally 5 pieces, and it looks super cute when you're done. If I had a little pom-pom, I would add a little pom-pom to the gnome's hat. That would be super cute. That may not be something that you would want to put through the mail. Again, going back to the fact that this is a square card and you'd have to add extra postage, this may be something that you would rather hand deliver or put in a box with something that you are, put in a package. So here I'm just gluing in his little nose. I think I had it flipped upside down. There is a right and a wrong way with his nose, actually. And then I'm going to glue his hat on. And then I'm going to show you just how there's just a little bit of dimension with this gnome, because I really stacked up the hat, and then I only gave the tunic a little bit more dimension, and then the nose and the beard are flat. So I liked how that looked. I thought that was interesting and kind of fun. I've never done that before, as far as like giving a die cut different layers, but I like how it turned out. So here I'm just trying to show you that different dimension there, but it's kind of hard to see. It's subtle, but it's good. I like it. For the sentiment, I went through I cut a piece of that same colored cardstock that I used for the snowflakes, and I used a sentiment banner die from, I want to say Simon Says stamp, but I'm not sure on that, but any sentiment banner stamp you have would work. And then I'm going to actually gold heat emboss this. I'm using Ranger Princess Gold. This is new to me. I saw it in Hobby Lobby a little while ago, and realized that the gold I had was starting to run low. I think it's a really pretty color. My only complaint, my only gripe is the lid on this jar is weird, and it it just like gets embossing powder at the top of it. Even though it's sealed closed really well, it still gets like embossing powder at the top of it. So when you open it, like embossing powder falls all over your hand. So it just seems kind of wasteful. But it's a really pretty color. Here I have a Hero Arts. This is CL907. I don't know what the name of it is, but that's the numbers for it. And I did the same trick that I used in a previous video where I tried to make sure that my sentiment was lined up using a piece of clear acetate. And I'm glad I did, because that Christmas was down a lot lower than the Merry, and it would have looked really bad. So I'm glad I did that little trick to kind of double check that my placement was good. Here I'm going to go ahead and gold heat emboss this using that Princess Gold from Ranger, and then I'm going to heat set it. I mentioned in a previous video how I have been playing with the whole heat and emboss from behind. And again, I feel like that is a game changer for me. I have been really liking the results when I heat set from the back of the cardstock. It just seems way, way smoother. Here, I actually double stamped this and double heat embossed it, which normally looks really beautiful. Here, I actually didn't quite have my stamp lined up in that bottom left corner, and so I get a little bit of blurring. The lines just look thicker. It's not terrible. It's just not as crisp as it normally would have been, but that's okay. So now I'm going to use some Altenew Instant Dimension foam tape. I did put some foam tape behind the gnome, and I'm going to put some foam tape behind the sentiment, just so that we can get some more interest. This is really a fairly simple card, lots of die cutting, but a fairly simple card. And so doing little things like this give it more interest and make it feel a little more special. So here I'm going to play with my placement for a little bit until I'm happy. Once I was happy, I felt like it needed a little bit more pops of gold, so I went through my stash, and I believe I got these sequins off of Amazon, and I'm just going to add some sequins with some liquid glue just around the sentiment and then up into some of those snowflakes, just to kind of mimic the gold that we have in the sentiment strip. And then if that sparkle from the gold embossing and the sequins wasn't enough, I have some shimmer spritz here, and I'm going to spray that on all over this card. And it was at this point that I discovered that I had not trimmed off that excess banner. I'm sure y'all caught that, but I didn't catch it until just now. So I trimmed that off, and now I put down my flour sack cloth just so I don't get sparkles everywhere, which would not necessarily be the end of the world, but is not what I was going for today. So, and then I'm going to spritz this maybe 2 or 3 times from about a foot in the air, and add just a little bit more sparkle to this card. And then this card is complete. So I appreciate you spending time with me. I hope you have enjoyed this series. I will be taking a little bit of a break just to spend some time with family. But I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, a great New Year. And I appreciate all of you that have subscribed and joined in this community. I am so grateful for you. And I will see you next year. But before I see you next year, I forgot that I made a custom envelope. So I have a 5x7 envelope here, and I made a little tick mark so I would know just how much room I needed. And I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I'm going to chop off both of the sides, just because there's kind of like an angled flap. And so I'm going to chop off that side, and then I'm going to flip over and make a big chop on the other side and double check that I've got enough room for this card to fit inside. I'm making sure that it's got a little bit of a border on each side, and then I'm going to use my paper trimmer and chop this off. Then I'm going to open it up and apply liquid adhesive to the left and the right of the flap that is opposite of the flap that has the self-adhesive on it. And then you have made a custom envelope for your card. So it's really easy to make a custom envelope and repurpose a size that maybe you already have. So for real this time, I appreciate you spending time with me. I hope you've enjoyed the series and you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you next time.